Without further ado, I'd love to introduce our panel. I think you all know me by now, but Kelly LePage, president of WellTrail. For those of you that don't know, my background is actually as an athletic trainer. I was lucky enough to work up at SU with a number of those orthopedists that you saw from Dr. Mickey's slide. They were up there at the top of the scale, but also at the top of the stress. And it's in that setting that I really became interested in individual health, both at that collegiate level, but also with working with workplaces. And so it's truly my honor to have other people that are sort of paving the way for workplace health in a different light, something that's, again, more than just programs and incentives. And you have three women up here who have really poured their hearts into their company's programs. So first, I would like to introduce Kiersey Donovan, who is of CTS. You are a compliance, benefits, and safety specialist, correct? So I'm going to let Kiersey just talk a little bit about her background, and then we'll go to the next panelist.
Yes, I've been with CPS Recruitment for just had my 10-year anniversary this past weekend. It's been a great experience these years. Some of you in the room might be some of our clients as well. We're a full-service staffing company in Liverpool. We've had the company for just over 26 years, and we're the smallest company of the three of us right here. 35 of us, and about 5 years ago, all of us were going over to the Parkway to go for a run together, or go rollerblading, or go walking. So it kind of just took off from conversations from there. What else can we do together? We have so much fun with each other. We're a small group. Let's see if we can expand on this. And it was about that same time, obviously, the Affordable Care Act was getting into much more fruition. And we started talking about, let's increase our activities. Let's try to talk to some personal trainers. Let's bring them in-house. So we're fortunate enough to have a smaller office. We converted our basement area into a gym, put mirrors on the wall, brought in some treadmills, things like that. And we had a personal trainer come in Tuesdays and Thursdays and really gave us a great workout, and kind of sprung from there. We also started a yoga no-sweat lunches, which was wonderful. People would just, obviously take their lunch break, go downstairs. We put some nice music on, had a yogi come in, and everybody, was able to go back to their desks a little more centered, which was nice in the recruiting world because that can get crazy. And then we just really focused even more on meeting on a monthly basis with each other, talking more and more about what else can we do on the wellness side. So we got together and came up with more ideas for our mental health. Let's go take walks around the park at lunch. Let's walk around the neighborhood. So it just continued to grow and grow from there. One of the I'd say the most popular program that we do have, being a small employer and our owner of our company, is 100% on board with all of our activities, and she's a great leader. We started a $500 annual health and reimbursement account, which employees can use on an annual basis, really anything that they want. They just have to bring the receipt to us. So I've seen everything from golf clubs to sneakers to gym memberships, things of that nature. So if you're flexible with types of items like that, I think it's great. Some people, will use the money towards different things, and maybe other people at different fitness levels. But I always like the fact that it still appealed to everyone in their own way. If they didn't want to join us for a workout session downstairs, they could obviously use the health and wellness for whatever they would like to do as well. I always give a shout out to Wegmans as well. I'm not sure if anybody is here from Wegmans, but the Eat Well, Live Well program. I used to work at Wegmans years and years ago, so I always knew about that program. But bringing that into the office as well, there were some people on our staff that maybe weren't sure about eating healthy. They weren't sure about nutritionists, and they were kind of struggling with that. So I think that really kicked off some people that were hesitant to try to change their lifestyle. So I definitely owe a lot to Wegmans too for that great program. And we continue to go for, a 6th year now of the program. We got the Fit Friendly Employer status from the American Heart Association, and just continuing to get ourselves out there and be fit and be healthy for everybody.
What initially got you interested or landed you the role of sort of being in charge of the health initiatives at your company?
I think maybe having my experience in being an athlete for most of my life and just the excitement of seeing everybody happy and working out together and being well. And a lot of people would come to me for questions on, maybe how I live my life, how my family, lives life and recipes and things like that. So it just kind of grew
it was a
from there.
natural
So
for
it was,
you.
yeah, it was a natural
So is
thing.
it a formal process in your organization, or is it you kind of come in and bring things, or has that grown into a wellness committee, or are there other people that are also in charge essentially of the programming for you?
We did establish a wellness committee last year, so we're
Fantastic.
so excited to have that. And I'd say probably half the company is on it.
Wow.
So there's only 34 of us, but still to have everybody,
That's great.
it's awesome. It's been really good, and it's everything. We talk about events and parties, and then charity things too. So
Sure.
mind, body, spirit, soul.
Well, it sounds like everything has just continued to flow. One thing builds to another and then builds to another, correct?
Yeah, been
That's
good.
great. Fantastic. Thank you. So I'm going to have you pass it down to Christy, only because I realized that I thought we had one order and it was another order, so I apologize. So I'm going to go back, and then we'll be back on track here. There we go. So let me introduce you to Christy LeClaire of Anoplate. I'm going to let Christy talk about the company and herself, but I'll say that I've been lucky enough to work with Christy for the last, you've been there 5 years now, right? 7 years. Holy smokes. So I've been there like 8, I think. But so I've worked with Christy for the last 7 years, and very similar to CPS. This is a program that has really grown. Anoplate has been an honoree or finalist every year and has actually won in their category 4 out of the last 6 years. So really a gold standard program that we're proud to be a part of. So Christy LeClaire.
So Anoplate is a manufacturer in Central New York. We are a family-owned business that's been in business 56 years. So not everybody's heard of Anoplate. I often get, what do you guys do? We are a metal finishing company that specializes in a high-end technical type metal finishing. So we tend to serve industries like aerospace, military, medical, and again, we're family-owned. We have about 220 employees. And our wellness program started just about 8 years ago, and we kicked it off with bringing WellTrail on to help us with our wellness journey. I will say that the wellness philosophy has to start at the top, and our owner and president really stands behind the wellness program and everything we do, so that carries forward into the organization. So we do a variety of different programs. We do have well guides on site once a week, all 3 shifts, to work with our employees on their individual wellness goals. They are able to set their own goals to work towards something, and by making progress towards those goals, they can get up to 24% off their health insurance contribution. So that's one of the big things we do. But then we continue to support that with lunch and learns, smoking cessation. We've done Whole You program to help people with healthy eating habits. So we're continuously doing things like that. We have fitness groups. So we do a variety of events. So we always do the Susan B. Komen Race for the Cure, and we do different events like that. We have fitness groups. It really clusters because there's certain people that prefer to do different activities. So those are things that we continuously do. First aid CPR training for employees, free fruit in the lunchroom for employees, and we have a wellness committee. So the wellness committee kind of works in conjunction with WellTrail. It's a separate group of people that feel passionately about it and try to come up with other programs to help support wellness. And some of that is community support. So wellness is a complete package of being healthy. So we like to do different fundraising and different events, whether it's Kids for Cancer or raising money for veterans. So the wellness committee is always working on some type of initiative as well.
Fantastic. How has your role changed, would you say, since you came in? Because you kind of walked into the program in its infancy, and you've definitely taken it. What do you feel are the contributions that have made the biggest difference, or the biggest changes that you've seen since you've come on?
So I would say that continuing to support the wellness committee and try to help with their initiatives. So, how's my, I don't know. It's just continuing to help people on an individual basis, I think, would be the biggest task in keeping people passionate, because it's really hard, you know, to incorporate. You got everything going on, and there's a lot of stress in anybody's day. So trying to find ways to suit each individual would be one of the things that I'm personally trying to
And
continue
I would
towards.
agree with that. I think that Christy was really responsible for getting the wellness committee up and running, because like she said before that, it was really, you know, an outside vendor, our group that was dictating that. And I think that was a huge transformation in your organization, was having other people really have a say, you know, that they not only got to dictate when they were working one-on-one with somebody, but that now as an organization, you could choose the events. You know, we have some of the pictures up there of things that they do, but that's all driven by the wellness committee and what they feel the pulse on the workforce is. So fantastic, thank you. And then our third and definitely not least panelist is Dulce Fernandez, who is with both OCC as a professor, but also works for the county. So Dulce, if you'd share some about your background too, because you have a very extensive background as well, and then you can go right into some, and I'll get us caught back up on the slides now.
Yes, I'm Dulce, and I do have an extensive background, which is culminating at the end of this year because I'm retiring. So very excited, and I'm always looking for a replacement. I thought I'd kind of roam around the room here. I have a master's degree in health and physical education, and I've been teaching here at Onondaga Community College. I teach health and physical education. I've been here for 33 years. In addition to that, I also am the employee wellness coordinator for Onondaga County, and I have been doing that for 21 years. My role at Onondaga County is they brought me on as a public health educator, and it was a New York State Department of Health grant that focused on employee wellness. What makes us really different, we're a municipality. We're very different. We operate completely differently than all of the companies that you see here today. But I started 21 years ago, and I don't think that they knew what the word wellness was. So we brought that program there, and I have continued it. We do have a wellness committee that has met monthly for 21 years that I coordinate. Part of my role, because I'm a teacher, I do all of the employee wellness trainings for all of the Onondaga County sheriffs, all of the new recruits, all of the emergency 911, the Justice Center deputies, the up at Jamesville, the correction officers. When we had Van Dyne, I did all the continuing nursing education credits because part of that is I'm a teacher. In addition to that, we focused a lot on fitness, nutrition, and tobacco. So over the period of years, again, we're county government, and so we are paid for by taxpayer dollars. And the way I organized the program was in 4 quadrants. One quadrant was the environment, a culture of health. The second quadrant was screenings. The third quadrant was education. And the fourth quadrant was campaigns and incentives. So anything that, there are so many people who come up and tell you, we should do this, we should do that, and it had to fall into one of those quadrants. The most important being the environment. That meant the employee wellness committee. That meant flex time so that people could exercise when they needed to, and still fit it into their workday. It meant creating on-site walking trails. We did murals. We have 15 floors at the Civic Center. So I invited high schools to come and paint murals that depicted county government services on each of the 15th floors. I thought if the stairwells were beautiful, maybe people would walk them. And except for the group that wanted to do a get-out-of-jail-free card for the Justice Center on the 6th floor, and that got denied. You know, those types of things. In addition to that, our policies, the tobacco policy. And again, we are 3,000 employees. We are 55 buildings, over 700 square miles, and 40 departments that I have to reach, and I work 3 days a week. I do all of that part-time. So that also has been a challenge. But putting policies in place, I think, are very important because that's sustainable. I'm leaving at the end of the year. It's important, you know, I could do a lot of programs. I'm doing Walktober now. I could do this, I could do that. But all of that will be gone when I'm gone. So what can I do that will stay? And working with the health department to our RFP, all of our cafeterias now are required when we send out for a vendor who's going to cook in the cafeterias, that they must provide healthy options. And that's all defined by the New York State Department of Health. It's in the language, it's in the RFP. I leave, that stays. I leave, the tobacco policy stays. You know, I leave the, you know, any type of policy that we put into place stays. In the meantime, you know, so I think that the environment, the culture of health, Joni Mahoney, we have a statement of wellness right in our employee handbook. All of that is in place. And my hope over the 21 years was simply to leave, like my mother said, you know, when you leave somewhere, always leave it better than when you found it. And that was my goal. I wanted to leave the county better than when I found it. I hope I have done so. I also wanted to leave the profession better than I found it. I'm 60. I will disclose this. I had a heart attack on Memorial Day on a golf course. I know when it's my time to move over. I'm looking for somebody 35 years younger than me with the same passion to come in and like kick some butt. The other things is that we do screening so that people do know, you know, their numbers. We also do a lot of lunch and learns. I take advantage of everything that is for free. Work with the YMCA, find as many partners as you can. The other thing is incentives and campaigns. And they come and they go, and it's Weight Watchers, and it's, you know, like just the gamut of stuff. We also have free counseling for our employees, EAP. We have an ergonomics program. We do have a lot of good things in place, and I'm privileged to be up here and to have been a finalist.
I personally want to thank Dulce too, because as she said, she's been an integral part of really creating this movement, and especially with young people in our community, and that can be difficult. You know, the education for somebody, there really is no education to come out and work in wellness. I know that there are wellness programs and there are wellness degrees, but it doesn't really prepare you to go out and work with people. And so it's people like Dulce that are out there that are really helping to bring the application of health and wellness initiatives to the youth that are then going to go ahead and bring it into our organization. So I really do appreciate all of the time you've put in.
Kelly,
and the
I
efforts.
just wanted to actually mention one other thing because you brought that up.
Yes.
I'm a teacher by nature, and I started out in the Onondaga County Health Department where I became a health promotion practitioner. I love my job here at the college because the students have to do what I tell them or they don't graduate. And that's easy. It's easy. It's really easy. It's like, you want to pass, you need to make me happy. And so I have this passion for teaching, which I can do here, and it's easy for 18 to 24-year-olds. But then what I did is I took my passion and actually tried to become a practitioner. And when I went into the real world at Onondaga County and realized that plenty of people don't want to be me, and plenty of people don't care what I have to say. I was like, really? Really? You know? And started understanding the reality of being in a practice. That's when I got my butt kicked. That's when I learned, and that's what made me a better teacher because I understood the reality. So I love to teach my passion. I've loved practicing what I teach in the real world because it makes me a better teacher. But after 8 years in the health department, I got moved to the Department of Personnel and Human Resources. The good news about that in terms of as you educate yourself into worksite wellness, it's great to be a health person, you know, but the thing is that wellness is looked through a lot of different eyes. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at wellness through other people's eyes, not your own. And so I went to Human Resources and I learned about, that's where I got the sick leave information. And that's where I learned, you know, about retirement and financial wellness and all of the other types of trainings that happened in human resource. I worked there for 8 years. Then I got moved to employee benefits. And that's really what kind of made me a full practitioner, because almost all of my programming is based on our numbers. I have access to all of our healthcare costs, our workers' comp costs, our RX costs, and I just simply go through them and I say, where's the money going? You know, where's the money going? We have a $72 million budget, you know, for sick leave, you know, Lipitor, I know everything. We have employees on 24 drugs. And so what I do is I look at all of that, and then I put programs in place that are lifestyle related to help reduce those costs. And so everything that I do has a reason. I don't just do things because it was a good idea. Everything I do has an objective. Everything I do goes back to the reflection of the mission of my organization and to our numbers. I don't do anything just because somebody's, this is a nice idea. I don't have time. So everything I do, I measure. And I hope that it means something. And I just thought that I felt fortunate to be able to be in 3 different departments to learn more than I did. So I'm done now.
That actually segues, and you can go to Kirsty. So this will be really a question for all 3 of you, and I'm sorry, it's not one of my ones that I told you I was going to ask you, but you made me think of this. All of you are doing this sort of as secondary. Now, Dulce, obviously you're there and this is your position, but it is a part-time position. And as you said, when you are working 3 days a week for 3,000 employees, that is very part-time. But all of you, you know, for Kirsty and Christy, this is not what you were hired to do. This is something that either fell in your lap or that you volunteered for. Talk to me a little bit about how you triage how your time is spent. There's limited hours in the day. You have things that Christy's got my favorite quote ever now. Not bored. Never bored. So Kirsty, let's talk with you. So how does this fit? How do you balance what you want to be able to do or what you want to be able to provide to support your folks and the other obligations that you have with your company? Because I think most of the folks here, you're wearing multiple hats, right? That you're not just there as the wellness coordinator, if you will. So I'd love to hear your input on that.
I feel like this part of my job is definitely more the positive, exciting things. I get to handle the workers' comp and the safety, and with attorneys and private investigators in that world too. So I get excited when it's time for me to give me maybe like a couple hours during the week to focus on this. But I definitely depend on the rest of the committee too to help me out. Because if I've got a day where there's a huge issue or something that comes up that I have to go take care of, I depend on somebody in the committee to help me out too. So it's definitely positive. I look forward to it. We plan ahead as much as we can. And then if somebody just wants to talk to me privately, I make time for the employees, of course. And if they've got a question, something confidential, I make time for them too. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And Christy?
I would definitely say it's about utilizing others in the organization, finding the people that are passionate about wellness and want to help lead it, and reaching out to them to help lead the cause. And so we've had several people at Animal Plate that are very dedicated to wellness. Actually, our receptionist, who has been very, very dedicated, does wellness tips every single month. She is dedicated to it, of doing research and making sure those wellness tips go out every month. So it's a team effort. It's definitely not me. So.
Fantastic. Actually, Christy, I'll have you keep that if you don't mind. And I'm going to actually go through a couple of our canned ones and then be thinking of your own questions, because I'm turning to you next, putting you guys on the spot. So this is a question for all 3 of you as panelists. What advice do you have for somebody in the audience that either is just starting their program or they're sitting here today going, oh my gosh, there's so much more I can do. I want to take it to the next level. So what advice would you have? What are the important things to you? What do they want to keep in consideration? And what would you like to tell them?
I think that depending on what part of your organization is trying to spearhead it. So if you're an individual maybe in human resources or whatnot, and you're trying to spearhead the wellness, or is it coming from the top? So I think that leadership, to really get your leaders on board with it, bring out their passion, see what they're passionate about it, and connect it with them, because those are the people that are going to help spread it throughout the organization as well. And if you don't have that support, sometimes also monetary, you're not going to be able to get that continuing going. So I think that can be one of the things that I think that I would approach first.
Good. What advice would you, I know, I tend to get off on these tangents. What advice would you have for somebody who's either just starting or wants to expand their program?
I would immediately join WellCoa. I would, I don't know how much it is a year, $300 or whatever, and get some education. The second thing, I would create a work plan. You really need to have a work plan. You can get lost in the work of wellness because everybody wants to do this and that, and they're all good ideas. You know, they're all good ideas, but in the end, you know, you got to think about what's the outcome. You know, what it is that you are trying to accomplish. So you don't want to have a wellness program that's just piecemealed with bunches of programs that in the end, you know, what have you created? So you want to have a vision, and if you're just starting, don't make it a big one. Pick one or two things and do them well. Pick a policy. Pick one campaign. When you get your wellness committee, you start brainstorming, it's overwhelming. It makes you want to go home and slit your wrists. You know, like you just go, oh my God, there's so much to do. And it is an incredibly overwhelming feeling. So if you're just starting, do something small and do it well. And that's how you gain people's trust. And I would have a work plan. Don't deviate from that work plan. Just take notes. We'll do that next year. You know, we'll consider that next year. And I like the quadrants. You know, put something in the environment, a campaign, an education, and an and whatever it is I said before. So, you know, and kind of limit yourself in the beginning. Don't knock yourself out because you will get burnt out really quickly. And then you just need to meet people where they are, not where you expect them to be. So,
Well said.
and you need somebody with boots on the ground. You know what I would do? Find, you know how you said, you know, find people to help you. You know who will help you? Go to the town gossip. Every company has those people that gossip. They know everybody. They're constantly talking. They're always spreading everything. Those are your best friends. You want to get the word out, go to the gossips. Okay, they love to get their nose into everything, so utilize them.
Might be a little easier with a smaller organization like ours, but survey your employees, see what they want. Maybe even after a program, send out a survey. How did that program work? Did you like it? What would you like to see different? Things like that. So that seemed to work well for us.
Fantastic. All of those inputs got me thinking too, sort of about a general theme that we use even when we're coaching with individuals, and that's about focusing and getting very clear on what's important to you. And I think as an organization, I heard that in various pieces in your introductions of your programs, but also in this, that it really is vital that your organization becomes clear on what are the important outcomes for it. So as you all mentioned, there are so many different things that we can do as organizations or as individuals, but I've preached this every year that I'm on the stage. You don't have to do everything in health or in wellness to be healthy. You just have to do something, and that is the key. It's about starting somewhere. And so sometimes it is the organization, or sometimes it's the wellness committee that sits down first and says, you know what, here's what's really important. It's important that we support our staff in their stress, or it's important that we support work-life balance, or it's important that we support people getting up because they're at a desk all day. But you pick those 2 or 3 things that are important, and then that becomes your litmus test for everything that you do. That comes from leadership, that comes from your committees, but I think to all of their points then, it allows you to stay focused and not get really caught up and overwhelmed, because it is overwhelming. And especially if you are going to the committee or you're just even opening it up, you're gonna get, if you have 300 employees, you're gonna have 300 different ideas of what your wellness, your health program should look like. So having that litmus test, having that work plan, having your leadership buy-in, all those things are really, really key to getting going. But you start in one spot and you can build from there. So thank you for that. I think that was tremendous advice. Before I go on to my next question, how about a question from our audience? knew I was going to have a shy group. Yes, right over here in the black shirt. Oh, that'll get you, Amy. I just want to make sure everybody heard the question.
How do you reach out to
Yep.
multiple locations, multiple shifts, 3,000 employees? The answer is I don't. You know, I don't. I try and I fail. My wellness committee is helpful because I have 40 people on that committee. Some of them are by mail only, might be Metro Water Board, and they're out in Oswego. They can't make the meetings. So they might be by mail, but by having the wellness committee, I count on them to bring back the information to them. And I also count on that committee to tell me what all of those 3,000 people need. It's so different. The sheriffs don't want fanny packs and prizes. They want education. The librarians don't want to do anything in a group. They want to be alone and look at a book or do something online. You know, the people who work at the parks, they don't want to do anything at the park. They work at the parks. They want to go, they don't want to do anything at the parks after work. You know, the DOT, Department of Transportation, they don't want to do a walking program on site. They have to wear hard hats and steel-toed shoes. Nobody wants to walk, you know, on there. So, you know, the law department and the DA's office, you know what they like? They like competition. They're trained arguers. They will have a competition over cholesterol. If it's a competition and they can win something, an argument, anything, you know, just send them a competition because they just like to win, you know? So for, you know, a lot of it is that committee has taught me, you know, given me their dirty laundry. And, you know, and when the librarians told me they had stress, I wanted to laugh, you know, at first until I realized, like, hey, this is a public building. We don't have skills. People come in here and do drug deals at night. We don't have any protection. Yeah, they have stress. You know, the sheriffs, the 911, everybody will tell you, you know. So kind of trying to take the time, and what I'm trying to do right now before the end of this year is I'm trying to work with the individual departments to try to have them create their own wellness committee. You know, like DSS, Department of Social Services, you know, facilities, you know, stuff like that. I'm like, why don't you get like 4 or 5 people and kind of run your own gig? And I'm trying to assist them. That would be a great accomplishment if I could get as much of that done as possible. But it is hard, and you know what? Sometimes you just don't get it all done. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't.
I think just segue off of that too, we have a number of clients that are, you know, 2,000, 3,000 lives, and we have one that is 27 locations, 7 states. Largest location has 400, the smallest location has 3, and they are no closer than 5 hours apart in most instances. So, and we have 2.5 people that are covering all of that. So I would second what you're saying is that you have to understand, especially as a healthcare provider, that you can't always be everything to everybody, but in your position, whether it's as the wellness coordinator, whether it's your part-time hat that you're wearing in HR, it's the same thing. However, the more that you can provide resources across multiple modalities, so just as Dulce was saying, it's really important to kind of have a touch point. If you have different departments, and I see this even at Anoplate, different shifts want to do different things. Different departments want to do different things. They have their own little cultures. And so understanding that culture, a great way to do it is getting that culture involved. Ask for an ambassador from each department. But don't be afraid to ask others to be accountable for doing their own things. You can only provide so much. So if your budget is limited, you try to provide the resources that are within your realm, but across multiple modalities. Some people respond great to picking up the phone and calling their nurse hotline. Some people are never going to pick up a phone and call somebody. Some people are happy to hop onto the internet and do their own searching, and other people want somebody sitting there holding their hand through it. And all of those things are fine. We all learn differently. The more you understand about the culture through surveys, you mentioned surveys or things like that, or just being out there and feet on the street, or utilizing those wellness ambassadors at each location, it's a good start. I will tell you, and again, not every company can do this, and this is a slight Well-Trail pitch, I'm not going to lie, but there's lots of companies that can provide on-site that allows people to have that one-on-one. There is no way to touch everybody unless you're doing it one-on-one, and that is not a possibility for everybody, but what we try to do in our programs and what gets us those higher levels of engagement and more utilization is that even when we have a program, we support it with one-on-one behind it. So let's say we're doing a healthy change challenge. Everybody's setting their own goals, they're doing their own things, but they still have that access, if they want it, to work with their healthcare person, their well guide, and so again, that's not for everybody, but the closer that you can move your organization to that there are multiple modalities, multiple entry points, and again, keeping in mind what I think was said in the very first question that we did, which is make sure that you're clear on those outcomes too. So I think the problem is we see all these people, all these different wants and needs. They may be telling you what they want or need, or they may not be telling you at all, and you're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? So if you have that, what's important to us as an organization, and if that can get whittled down to what's important to this particular location or this particular department, it gives you a better litmus test on where to start. But thank you for those answers too. That's fantastic. Does that answer your question, or do you have any other questions to follow up with that? Okay, great. I saw Amy, you had a question over there? Oh, okay. Well, that worked out well. Any others from the audience? Yes. I'd much rather use your guys' questions. While we're waiting for that to turn out, I have to tell you, we all have to give Joelle another hand because she should just get a constant round of applause this whole day. I don't know how this woman puts this event together, let alone like the 6 others that she's had in the last 3 weeks, and she does it all while having to deal with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So my question is about maybe 7 months or so ago, the company I work for, Hiller Prior June, wanted to start getting more into wellness, and they approached me to lead the wellness committee. And when I asked who else am I leading wellness on the committee, they said, well, you are the committee. So I'm kind of just getting into it, getting started. We've done some lunch and learns. We've had some folks come in and do fitness classes for a lunch and learn type series, but it's all been me going out and doing kind of hunting and looking for people to bring in. Is there any resources you could recommend, or any groups or anything that could help with that, or any teams that get together on a regular basis to talk about it?
Let's just go right down the line. I think this is great because you each have different perspectives on this. So
Kelly.
I didn't pay her for that.
Definitely, great resource there. For us, I think just we had word of mouth, personal trainers and things like that we talked to. People had connections at their gyms, talked to them. And I don't think he's here, but there was a gentleman that had a company before that started targeting, working directly with companies looking to start up a corporate wellness program. Probably could find, other stuff like that. So
I have a question for you. Who are you? What's your role? Like, what's your job right now?
So my job, my true title is I'm the operations manager of the benefits department. So working with clients and helping the sales team, the sales force, when they work with clients.
And who asked you to take this on? Human resources. Okay. So, yeah, go ahead. Did you have something, Joelle?
It was that I'm totally oblivious to, apparently.
I just wanted to know, like, where you got your marching orders. So, I mean, I would definitely talk to the head of human resources, and the first thing you want to find out is, what is their vision? What's their vision? And obviously your organization must have a mission statement. Start with that. And so all of your activities should reflect, because you've been asked by human resources or your boss to do this, so all your activities really need to reflect the mission of the organization in your head. The next thing then you would do is, try to find some people to be like on your committee who want to, but really talk to human resources and say, what is it that you want to see happen? What is your vision? What can we do? What is your greatest concern about the employees? And then try to answer that question. Then once you know what management wants, then you get your committee together and then you're going to kind of bridge that gap. As for the free resources, go with the YMCA right away. I mean, like, they'll do a whole summer program and give everybody and their family a free 8-week YMCA membership. Go to your, who is your health insurance people? Excelis. Okay, so go talk with Ken, you know, and all those people. They have an amazing amount of stuff for free. Have them come on board. Do you have, like, if you have retirement people, deferred compensation, have them come in and do financial wellness. If you have a credit union, any of the vendors that are associated with your organization will come in and do stuff for free. That's how you get your lunch and learns, and you get this and you get that. So those are some things that you can do. And, you know, if you want to talk, I can give you a laundry list, but good luck to you. I think that you should be, I think it's great that they asked you, you know, so you must be a great guy. Or somebody who just can't say no. Is that who you are? Okay.
Yep. Sure.
It's not really a question, but I wanted to respond to the gentleman who was just speaking. I'm Kathy Mogul. I work with the Onondaga County Health Department for a program called Creating Healthy Schools and Communities. And our program is a resource for Syracuse-based businesses. We work with work sites, community-based organizations to help create policies and help to create environmental changes right at the work site. So if you are looking to change your environment as far as what is in your vending machine, what is offered in your cafeteria, how can we bring healthy foods to your work site? If you're looking to add some physical activity components to your work site, we can work with you. We work with Syracuse-based organizations to really help create policies, change environments, all in an effort to enhance health. And there is no fee associated with it, and oftentimes we can help support these environmental changes that you may have. So just a shout out that you do have community resources as well.
Christy, did you have anything to add to?
So I would have said that there is no magical resource place that you can go to, that it is about getting the people within and board, finding out what they're passionate about, and then go for your resources. Because you know, you listed several good places to go, but you really want to know, to the previous advice of one bite at a time, you want to pick something that the group is passionate about and then really go out and try to find your resource to that.
Yeah.
The American Heart Association is also, though, another good one. You guys, I think, had the, so, but.
Excellent. Do we have time for one more question, Joelle?
Yeah, we could do one more question.
Anyone out there? Something you're
And you
dying
can
to know
always
about?
go visit Kelly at the Well
you can do
Trail
that too.
booth, or any of these ladies will be walking around the rest of the day if you want to just connect with them one-on-one.
I think we'll leave it with this one then for each of you. What would you say the most important lesson that you've learned through your participation in your company's health program has been? No pressure.
No pressure. I guess, again, smaller company, so a little bit easier maybe to reach, of course, more people, but just people opening up and feeling comfortable to talk about that stuff. Somebody's struggling with weight, somebody's struggling with something at home, financial, just maybe they can come to work and it's not all just sit there all day, stare at the computer, like, oh, I've got the wellness committee, we can talk about stuff, or I can go talk to Kirsty, whatever, and just kind of, you know, let's go for a walk or something. So maybe just with that.
Great.
I've learned many lessons because I've fallen on my butt way too many times. But I would say that it is important to meet people where they are, not where you think that they should be. It is not your agenda. It is the organization's agenda.
You have to have options and variety and try to connect with people on what their choice is to go after.
Fantastic.